Well, hello there. Today we're going to talk about the Wheel of Fortune. I know this feels like a really happy-go-lucky card, but it is one of the major arcana cards and it does pack a punch. So we're going to jump right in and start talking about it. So let's just start with some key meanings. Key meanings of the Wheel of Fortune when it's upright is good luck, karma, a turning point, upheaval, and chance. Now let's turn that on its head and we get resistance to change, lack of control, and setbacks. Now the Wheel of Fortune, as all of the cards in the major arcana, which this is one of them, all of the major arcana either are connected to an element, a planet, or a zodiac sign. And the Wheel of Fortune is connected to the astrological planet of Jupiter, which is a planet of good fortune and expansion and progress. Now we're going to jump into some of the symbolism, and then I'll give you more on the meaning after that. So the central focal point of the whole card is this big orange wheel that is in the center, and it's about progress and change. You know, life is a cycle. It's always cycling around, like the seasons are cycling, the years are cycling. We go from youth to our young adult years to middle age to adulthood, and then the next generation comes. Once again, the cycle of life, kind of like the Lion King, right? There are letters that are carved into the wheel. They are T-A-R-O, or you could spell them R-O-T-A, tarot meaning teaching, and rota meaning wheel, meaning that the wheel is turning and we are learning. I didn't even mean to rhyme that. And in the center, there are all of the alchemical symbols, which refer to the four elements, which are also present here. In the four corners of the card, you see these four figures, which are an angel, a lion, an eagle, and a bull. All of these figures are a direct correspondence to the four fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And they appear as guardians positioned at the four corners of the world. So back to the wheel, where we have a few other interesting characters. First, we're going to start here with the snake. He's also known as Typhon. He surrounds the wheel, and we know him from the Garden of Good and Evil. Yes, he is from the story of Adam and Eve, and he represents knowledge. Then we have at the top of it, we have the Sphinx, and he represents strength. He is the keeper, this Sphinx, of universal secrets and also life's riddles. And he says, no humans would understand. It is beyond their comprehension, beyond their understanding. So he's guarding it, but even if you got your hands on it, what you do with it? Anyway, the Sphinx's sword is the sword of justice. We see that in a future card. And the last figure that we're looking at here is the jackal-headed Anubis, which is the Egyptian god of evil and the god of the Egyptian underworld. A lot of fun happening here, right? These are some pretty serious figures. Now together, the Anubis and Typhon, they are the principles of good and evil. And then we take the Sphinx, the snake Typhon, and the Anubis, and together they represent past, present, and our future. There's an open book, which all of the four figures are reading, and that represents symbols of study and lectures and the importance of learning and growth. And as we cycle, we're learning our lessons. We are growing, and hopefully we'll have some knowledge to share when it's all done. The blue sky represents our intuition. It can be spirituality, your connection to spirit, whatever it is that means to you. And it can also be that deep inner guidance that you tap into, like when you just don't know what to do in a situation. Where do you go? You go here? That's what it's talking about. The clouds are a symbol of revelation. Like sometimes we just can't seem to get that answer. And then like we do something else, like we go off and we take a shower. And then while we're, shampooing, we find out like, boom, the light bulb goes on. And that's where the idea comes from. So just about kind of moving along and finding, the answers when the timing is right. The Wheel of Fortune is card number 10 in the major arcana. 10 is the number of perfection. It's the completion of a cycle. And at the same time, it marks a new beginning and a transition to a new level. So we're kind of moving up, like we're at the end of the first 10. We just finished, the single digits, and we're moving up to the 10 to a whole other level of intensity within the major arcana and, probably within your life also. So when the Wheel of Fortune comes up, let's talk about this card a little bit. Significant changes are coming your way. The Wheel of Fortune says change is inevitable. There is nothing we can do about the fact that change is a constant in our world. It represents the cyclical nature of life, the constant ebb and flow, and the rise and fall. It's like the birth, the death, the rebirth, and so on. Everything is impermanent. So for better or for worse, so where you are right now, if things are crappy and you're going through a really hard time and you're like, when is this going to end? Do not worry. It will end. And then you'll have all of the learning and perspective that you learn from while you're here. And if you're on a high, you're riding the top of this. I sometimes look at this as like a Ferris wheel. And when you're at the top of the Ferris wheel, you can kind of see for miles. That's kind of like what this is. If you are at that point, soak it in, make your connections, because when you come back down, you will want to have access to that feeling so you can kind of lift yourself back up again. So the Wheel of Fortune does represent a change in fortune. It could be a sudden windfall, an unexpected loss, or a sudden opportunity. But the important thing within the Wheel of Fortune is to stay grounded. So when I like to use the image of the card because, when you ride the wheel, you can either ride at the hub where things are still rotating, but not as crazily and, like whipping you around like you would on the outside of the wheel. So when change is happening, when you're facing a time of uncertainty, remember, focus on the present moment and stay connected. Stay connected to the ground, stay connected to your foundations, and stay connected to your intuition and your inner wisdom. So when you're at the hub, no matter what confronts you, you can act from a place of balance. And instead of an emotional reaction, you can do the best with what you've got from your grounded place. So, the Wheel of Fortune says you may not be in control of the circumstances, but you can be in control of how you respond, how you react to what's going on. So you don't have to go back and apologize later. You know how that goes, right? So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think of the wheel, but before I finish up, I'm going to share some journal prompts with you, and then we'll circle back. So my first journal prompt is, when has fate intervened on your behalf? And this makes me think of a story of a friend of mine who really wanted to move, but she didn't know when and she didn't know where, and all this confusion and questions. And then one day a pipe broke in her apartment and it flooded everything. And she had to move right then. So when was a good time to move? Right then. So was it a good thing? I think ultimately it was, but at the time it was crazy and chaotic. And she's like, why is this happening? But then a really awesome place to live opened up, and she was so thrilled because she was available. When has that happened to you? And the other prompt I have is, what patterns or cycles tend to repeat in your life, in relationships, in positions that you get in your job, maybe like in situations, if you're a people pleaser or you're the one that always says yes, and then all of a sudden, again, you start a new job and you're the one doing everything for everyone. What do you want to change? How do you want things to look? And how can you take the learning that has come from prior cycles, use it, and move it forward? So with that, I want to thank you so much for coming to visit my site, to visit this video today. Did you like what I had to say about the Wheel of Fortune? What do you think about the wheel? Is there anything that I forgot? Anything that you want to add? A comment? I'd love to hear it. Please leave it below. I will respond. I promise I will. And other goodies I have in the box below, where to follow me, my free newsletter, other free stuff that I'm offering, and cool readings. I'm coming up with all these new readings. There's so many things coming up right now, and I'm really weaving in some numerology and planetary stuff, and it's so helpful to get you to move forward. So if you're looking to get moving and cycled, please contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for coming, and I look forward to seeing you the next time.